There you go.
Hello,
There you go,
Livestream
Cyber.
land.
Hello, Livestream land. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are on our live stream tonight. We want to thank everyone for stopping on by already and checking us out if they haven't already. Just want to give you guys a little heads up of some of the great panel we have tonight. So we have a couple newcomers to our podcast live stream tonight. One is Miss Sally over here. That is the podcaster of See You in the MCU podcast. She is brand new and just joining us for her first episode on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We want to welcome you, Sally. Thank you for coming on by.
Thanks for having me, man. Cool.
And also want to thank Wize for coming back on, because I did not realize he had been on before. My bad. He must have been on when I hadn't been on, apparently, I guess, at some point. But anyways, it's nice to have Wize with us, who is also a podcaster. He actually runs a amazing radio station, and he is a part of the Stuck on My Mind podcast, which he does live with, and is a real joy, I've heard, and lots of fun, and definitely will have to go on there sometime in the near future. Thanks for coming on by, Wize, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love talking MCU.
Awesome. And of course, my other co-host here, Mr. Jeff Sloboda, is here with us. Say hi, Jeff.
Yo, what up, everybody? MCU,
All right.
What up?
And of course, if you didn't notice before, if you haven't gotten a chance to, come on by and definitely check out our website on the MCU'sBleedingEdge.org, where you can find all kinds of cool stuff, upcoming, live streams and all that kind of cool stuff. So don't forget to check that out too, people. It's a real joy. It's a lot of work, and we put a lot of work into it for you guys. So definitely check that out. So of course, tonight we are going to be discussing the very first episode of the What If series that just debuted today on Disney Plus. We're going to be getting into that very first episode, which happens to be the Captain Carter episode, which is really awesome, really amazing, and just really fun. So before we get into that, if Sally or Wize would like to talk a little bit about their podcast, please take a few moments just to give us a little breakdown about your guys' podcast. So let's start with you, Sally.
I'm on the spot. Okay. My podcast is a MCU Infinity Saga recap podcast. I've been obsessed since I was 12, writing fan fiction about it since I was 13, and I'm just here for great time that I have watching Marvel movies, and I want to share it with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. How about you, Wize? A little bit about your podcast, please.
Well, my podcast actually has nothing to do with MCU. It's more of a self-help podcast, but since I'm a big MCU fan and me and Jeff are good friends, I love chopping it up with Jeff especially when it comes to MCU. I've been on a couple of times prior to you, but yeah, I'm here to just have a good time and talk.
Awesome.
Cyber,
Thank you.
Wize is so laid back, man, and purposeful yet quiet that you don't even notice when he's on the show, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's there, you know what I mean, but you don't even realize it. But yeah, he's been on before. He's been on before with me when this was just a podcast and there was no live stream or anything like that,
So technically, when I said first time on the MCU's Bleeding Edge podcast live stream, which is what we are now, technically was true, sir. So,
Anyways,
But
I have been on the Bleeding Edge audio version, yes.
There we go. See, yeah, see, I knew it. Anyways, so just want to throw a shout out to Vincent Van Spock over here in the comment section. Hey guys, hey, how's it going, Vincent Van Spock? I forget who he is.
He's my friend.
What's his name again, Jeff?
His name is Vincent. I met him. I met him on
okay.
Clapper. I met him on
All right.
Clapper.
Well, welcome, Vincent. Thank you for stopping on by, sir. Always a joy to have you on here in the comment section. So anyway, like we said, we're going to be talking about the What If series, which is basically an animated series that Disney Plus decided to put together that basically will show you alternate multiverse versions of if your basic Marvel content that we so used to, like, you know, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther, all those good stuff. Basically, what if the story was different than what we're accustomed to or what we saw? And that's pretty much what they're doing with this animated series. So to start us off, I mean, who out of us, you know, that first kind of intro to Jeffrey Wright talking, and he's kind of talking and giving us this information about the multiverse and stuff like that. What were you guys' first thoughts on maybe who he was, or do you think he was somebody specific to begin with, or do you think he was just a commentator? Let's start with you, Wize.
Well, me being the old man here, I used to read What If back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Me too.
And I knew, yeah, I'm old, but it was always the Watcher who introduced the comic, and so I kind of knew who Jeffrey Wright was voicing. So, but it's cool. He's a great actor. I'm glad he's a part of the MCU, and I'm excited for the other episodes. This episode was pretty good, though. I have to say I kind of enjoyed it. It left me with a lot of questions, like we'll discuss. But yeah, it was real good.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. How about you, Sally? What did you think about the commentary at first, and maybe who did you have an idea of who that might be? Jeffrey Wright was supposed to be.
Well, I never read. This is gonna make me sound so fake. This has never been a comic thing for me. I love the movies. I'm obsessed with the movies. So I didn't know who he was, but I like him. He has a very nice voice. And he's just a cosmic entity that like knows all. That's my take on it.
Okay, great. How about you, Jeff? What did you think?
Well, I want to ask Sally real quick. Sally, honestly, not knowing like who you know Uatu is and everything and whatnot, like, and maybe not knowing Jeffrey Wright very well in his career, does he not just have like an extremely like freaking like great voice, like
Yeah,
as a narrator?
Yeah, he has an amazing voice.
Well, of course, we just did a watch and react to the Batman trailer on a show recently as a final segment, and Jeffrey Wright is going to be playing Commissioner Gordon in that film, which I'm really excited
Is that
about.
the one with Robert Pattinson?
Yes, and he looks really
so when
good
you see the trailer,
Batman,
so when you see the trailer, the trailer where he talks about do you have an idea of what this means? That's Jeffrey Wright.
That's Jeffrey Wright. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google this after the show.
Yeah, no, he's a great actor. He's a
I
really
only
good
know
character.
I only know Robert Pattinson from Twilight, and I freaking hate Twilight, so I haven't seen him in a good movie in years. Well, I know him from Harry Potter too. I don't want to lie.
Well, we don't have time to drop the Batman trailer right now tonight, so like you'll have to check that out on your own. But as far as like my take on it goes, I mean, like honestly, for me, out of the whole show, like the part out of all of it that actually impacted me and like made me have goosebumps and like made me literally like have to like stand at attention and shit was literally just like how impactful and like you know overarching and like powerful Jeffrey Wright's intro was as the Watcher. They went with the exact same intro and outro on the show with Jeffrey Wright as Uatu that they had in the comic books. The same thing he used to say, you know, and that's the major connection right there, you know, to the comics. If you want to, you know, create a direct link, is that like those words were literally word for word, almost like what he said in the comics, in the What If comics, which that's just amazing. Like Wize, I actually read too. Several.
I need to read them.
Great. In fact, I have a lot of them still. Like my one of my favorite ones was anyone that had Punisher in it were always my favorite ones. I love the Punisher What If ones. But like, yeah, like for me, Jeffrey Wright, they couldn't have they could not have found a better
I can't hear
actor
anybody, guys.
to play to do the voice of Uatu. And I really just, again, like I said, it stood out to me enough to the point where although I didn't do it, I almost had to like stop the show right there and just jump on my phone and make a video like on
Cyber
Rizzo.
can't hear anybody.
What's wrong, Sally?
Cyber just messaged and said he can't hear anybody.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know what's going on with that. I said
No,
turn
I
on
don't
your
know
speakers, but
I don't know what's going on, brother. Hold on one second, man.
I hear everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, we're good, man. We don't have to do anything.
I don't know.
It'll
Maybe
be
his
okay,
speakers
Cyber.
blew out. I have a pretty loud voice.
That's okay, Cyber. You can just moderate like pretending like you're deaf. You know what I mean? It'll be like
Can he speak? Can we hear him?
Cyber, can you talk?
Hold on.
Don't you love this part of live streaming?
It's so embarrassing.
No, it's all good. This stuff happens, believe me.
Oh no, we don't hear him now. No,
We
we don't
can't hear him. We can't hear him.
hear him. Or yeah.
Damn. Cyber, I hope you jiggle that wire with a quickness, brother, because like if not, man, this is gonna be an interesting show.
It's gonna be awkward as hell.
I'll tell you right now, if Cyber
Can we
can
see anything
pull off,
we want?
well, look, if Cyber can pull off moderating this show with just like pieces of paper, like writing on them and shit, and we just go with that, that would be interesting.
That would be cool.
Yeah. You there, Cyber?
Maybe he could because when my Blue Yeti isn't, I can't hear anything on my computer with my Blue Yeti. So
all right, I'm
maybe he should
Cyber.
unplug his mic.
Nah. I gotta be a coach here. I gotta go ahead and cut him off the roster for a minute. He's gotta take a medical timeout. Right, guys? Let me see who I got on the bench that I can substitute in real quick for Cyber. No, I'm just playing. We can make this shit work with just the three of us, I think, for a minute.
Okay.
No pressure on you, Sally. No pressure on you. So anyway,
I don't feel pressure.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I'm good.
All right. There he is. Let's see if he's all right.
Oh, yay!
There we go. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it just completely cut out. You couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear you. Nothing. I don't know why I did that, but, technical difficulties here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. What we're known for.
That's
I was about to say, everybody say your favorite cuss word, but now the moderator's here.
Oh, man. You can cuss all you want. We don't care.
Shit, yay.
Anyways, but yeah, sorry for that, folks, but yeah, technical difficulties on this end. Hopefully I'll have that fixed soon because I'm getting a new microphone, so hopefully that'll be fixed. But yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I had to unplug mine because I can't hear audio while my Blue Yeti is plugged in, and I have a really nice mic.
So
I think it's actually kind of like humanistic to like have people actually see that like we fail sometimes and we make mistakes and stuff like that. It's part of the deal.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, so what did I miss now?
Nothing. It's on to you, brother. It's on to you. What's the next topic?
All right. So we talked a little bit about Jeffrey Wright and that kind of stuff there, and as we think that he's the Watcher, and we actually kind of learned that further down the road. We'll find out about that. But like I was saying earlier, as we go along, we get kind of all of a sudden transfers, to being over in Germany during, the 1940s, and Steve is supposed to be doing the, super soldier serum, and all of a sudden, that same incident happens where, there's the Nazi guy that's going to, basically destroy what's going on so that the super soldier serum is, stolen and stopped. And, instead of, us getting Steve Rogers going into the thing because he accidentally gets shot by the bad guy, we end up seeing Peggy go into the machine. What was your guys' thoughts when all of a sudden Peggy jumped into the machine? And, go into long detail if you want. If you were, like, super excited or whatever, go ahead and just say whatever, if it was, like, Because for me, I was like kind of like almost giddy a little bit, like, oh my goodness, she's going to the machine. This is gonna be interesting. So, what do you think about this, Sally? What did you think about that scene?
Well, the first thing I wrote was, and keep in mind I'm a fanfic writer, Peggy choosing not to go into the booth equals Peggy becoming Captain America is the most Steve/Peggy thing ever, and I love it. And Haley Atwell is and will always be the perfect Peggy Carter to me. She's the only one to me, but she's perfect. 13-year-old me is very happy.
All right. Thank you. That's awesome. All right, how about you, Jeff? What did you think about when Peggy stepped into the machine?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I had all kinds of different thoughts about it. I mean, I obviously, like, I was just trying to take in like the animation and kind of get used to it, like get used to the fact that it's an animated series, like that was kind of a little bit of a change for me, that like visually that I had to adjust to. But I felt like going off of like it didn't come up like but going off of Jeffrey Wright's Uatu the Watcher intro, I really, 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 really enjoyed his description of the multiverse and how it all broke up into different pieces, like a shattered, like, picture, like with different slivers, each one being like a different reality, a different like alternate reality. Like, I thought that whole concept was like really, really, really cool. And like all I could think in my head was, I wish I knew how to make a thumbnail for a YouTube video where I could recreate that same like look of all the shattered like glass like becoming the different shards of like reality, like that. I that's all I was thinking was I wish I could recopy this. But as far as like the Peggy Carter part, I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was Steve Rogers got shot in the chest point blank twice, and he's just like hanging out afterwards, like, I'm okay, Peggy, you do your thing. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Like, that was a little bit unrealistic. Like, I get it, it's animated and everything, but I mean, like, typically, like, when a dude gets shot in the chest twice, like like not point blank, but like, shot in the chest twice, they're not just like laying there smiling, like flirting with like chicks and everything and whatnot. So,
pretty sure he was shot in the stomach, though.
Well, either way, stomach's even worse than the chest, to be honest with you, because then you bleed out even quicker. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyways, so as far as like the scene itself, it went really fast. Like I almost wish that it would have been kind of interesting if they would have actually showed some stuff like from the boot camp, the training from First Avenger. Like with I would have liked to have seen some of that, like with Peggy Carter and everything. But I found it to be like I said, it was very fast paced. The whole scene went really quick and everything and whatnot. And it was kind of not really all that like impactful for me seeing Peggy jump into the machine and get the super soldier serum, because we've all known for like 10 months or whatever that that's what was going to happen. So, like, it's not new information. But really, I think that like it was really kind of nostalgic for me, I guess, just watching and like listening to them retracing and like repeating some of the same aspects of First Avenger right there in the show.
Very much so. Very much so. How about you, Wize? What did you think?
It was interesting. Like how Steve was talking about how they didn't really go into details of the training. They just kind of just had to get the serum, and then of course there was hesitation because she was a woman, and during that time, women didn't go into battle. They didn't do the word on the battle lines. So of course they were hesitant to send her out there. But once they got her out there and she started going out there kicking butt and doing what she was doing, I was excited. What really excited me was like Howard Stark building a Iron Man suit.
The Hydra Stomper. That was exciting. Yeah. Fangirling would be hard.
That got me. That really, because I didn't they didn't really get into that part in the previews and stuff like that. You saw, but for that to be Steve Rogers in there, that was kind of cool. Like Steve Rogers had his own Iron Man suit.
Oh hell yeah!
Yep, very true, very much so. I mean, that kind of leads into the next question. So after she becomes Super Carter, basically Captain Carter. She basically gets allowed to kind of go out and do the same thing Steve did in the first Avenger, where he does that like promotion stuff, and she kind of they kind of reference to that. They don't actually show it, but they actually reference to it. But then she gets called into action eventually, and you get to see her battle and stuff like that a little bit. Her first time out, and basically kind of destroying all these machines. Which to me, when they were showing that, I felt that it was kind of like she was stronger than Steve as Captain Carter versus being Captain America, because I don't remember Steve like shoving different types of vehicles like she was. Like I remember him blowing stuff up.
To me, it was more she was deflecting them off the shield. It was like she was using the shield more to help deflect them off. And Cap is strong. He's one. He might not be one of the strongest in the MCU, but they don't really do him justice as far as his strength goes in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that's kind of what they did with Peggy in this. They gave her kind of that. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, Wize. But the one thing is that she definitely picked up a truck and threw it over her head. You know what I'm saying? And like, honestly, man, you're right. Like, Cap is really strong. He is. He's extremely strong and durable. Like, if anything, I feel like in the MCU, there were times where I wish they would have shown like and demonstrated how strong he really was, and they didn't. But like, honestly, at least the Captain America they gave us in the MCU, not the comic book Captain America, but at least the MCU Captain America, they did not give us the impression that he was capable of like having a truck come drive at him and then just like pick it up and throw him.
Very true, very true. I would agree. Because I don't recall that ever in any of the movies for Captain America, him being able to do that, except for when he holds the helicopter that Bucky's trying to get away in Civil War. Other than that, you never see him throw a truck or anything like that. So I think that's kind of interesting. They had that happen within What If, because once again, it's What If. So that's probably a liberty they were taking to change it up to make it different than Captain America was. But that leads into, she fights all those Hydra people. We get a great image of the Red Skull eventually too there. After you see Peggy kind of fight, we get to see Red Skull, which I think is kind of interesting how the scene where it shows the Hydra car pulling up and it shows the Hydra emblem right in front of the view. They do the exact same thing in Captain America, the First Avenger, when we get the first time we get to see Red Skull himself as well. So what were you guys' thoughts on that? What did you think when you first saw that giant Hydra symbol kind of just pop up right in front of you? Did you think that was going to be Red Skull? Do you think they were going to be showing him, etc.? So let's start with you, Wize. What did you think about that?
Well, it being Captain America, of course, you have to have arch enemy number one, which is the Red Skull. And during that time, like in the first Avenger, I thought it was cool that they showed the Hydra and the emblem coming up right to you. So I expected it to be Red Skull, and I was excited. I really wasn't too thrilled with how they portrayed them in in the first Avenger. I thought it could have been they could have made him a little bit more Red Skullish but it was good, man. Hugo Weaver did a good job portraying him. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. They didn't really go into like it was short. It was really short. So they really couldn't go into it as deep as maybe we might have wanted them to go into it. But for the time that they had and for the time that they the length of it, I guess it was pretty cool.
Totally agree. Completely agree. How about you, Sally? Did you, when that scene happened, did you feel like it was going to be Red Skull? Did you feel like, were you thinking the first Avenger when that scene popped up? You know, what did you think?
I've seen the first Avenger so many times that I can watch it and whisper the lines. So yes, I was thinking Red Skull.
Awesome. And did you think that we were going to get pretty much the same, almost like same scene like we did in the first Avenger in this? Do you think that was?
Yeah, and I was excited to see you go to hear like all that and see all that animated, but we didn't. It was kind of sad.
All right.
Pow.
Okay.
Sorry.
Awesome.
Boom. Background.
How about?
Didn't Red Skull kill the guy in the first Avenger? I have this movie memorized. I should remember this, but
yes, the guy is shot in the first Avenger in that scene. Yes.
Yeah, but in this, he was shot off.
They shot the guy. Yeah, they shot him.
Yeah. They had several guys shooting him, versus in the movie, I think it's just Red Skull that shoots him. So it's a little different. So they made it a little different, at least. How about you, Jeff? What did you think about that scene?
I mean, there really wasn't that much to it for me. I mean, like at the point that it became clear like that they were basically going to like do a streamlined copy version of the first Avenger, like with like tons and tons of antidotes coming directly from the first Avenger film, just with in this different reality. I kind of at that point, I enjoyed I enjoyed the nostalgic aspect of it because I love the first Avenger. I like that part of it. That's one of the things I think that is really going to be a major positive, really, I think, for fans of this show, MCU fans specifically, is that I think that it's going to be really, really nice and really fun to get to experience all this nostalgia, like with these episodes all being based off of specific films from the Infinity Saga. I feel like that's just going to bring us back to older parts of the MCU. And at the same time, too, I feel like it's really rewarding and like it's really good fan service to give us these characters again, like to give us T'Challa again, that's going to be major. Like that's going to be like a seriously like major thing when that happens. But I think that it's going to be really, really cool to revisit these characters, see them in their different selves, like see them in these different realities, doing different things, having different personalities, whatever, looking differently. As far as like the Hydra aspect and everything, it mirrored directly from like Captain America First Avenger to the T. Like even with the Red Skull having like the mask on and everything and whatnot, because he didn't want people to see like his actual like deformed face. And as far as like just one last note on Peggy Carter, like picking up trucks and all that kind of stuff, I think it's very important to mention that if you go back and look at like like if you look at the Incredible Hulk, for instance, and when Tim Roth got the super soldier serum from Thunderbolt Ross, and everything, it really kind of takes into consideration that you never know what you're going to get when you do the super soldier serum treatment to somebody everybody's different. Like every situation's different, you know, like how it's gonna work out with them. Like, you know, what kind of like abilities they end up with, how strong they end up being. So, you know, like I mean, look, like you know, Tim Roth like took the super soldier serum, then he got some of that antidote crap from like you know, Bruce Banner's buddy, and then he became the Abomination, you know. So like at that point, I think that like it makes sense, honestly, from a not just from a what if standpoint, but also from like a canon standpoint, that somebody would get the super soldier serum treatment and have different effects from it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, very true, very true. Yes, Sally.
Just a direct quote from the first Avenger here: "Good becomes great, bad becomes worse." So that's what happens.
Yep.
But it does affect everyone differently. So Peggy Carter lifting a truck over her head, maybe Steve wouldn't do that, but Peggy is a different person from Steve. Johann Schmidt is a different person from Steve. Everybody's different. And what you do with your power, you would do it differently than someone else, right?
Very much so, yeah. I would say so too. Yep, very much so. I mean, also talking about that, you know, scene with Peggy Carter fighting and stuff. I don't know if any of you noticed this, but the comedy there was really hilarious. I thought, especially when that one taller blonde guy comes out and he's like, you know, don't send, you know, a little girl to do their business and stuff like that. And you know, and
She
so he
busted
like
his kneecap.
bust his kneecap, and that's like you're kind of like laughing, like, oh my god, that like totally makes me think of a Disney cartoon film when there's like a fight scene in a cartoon from Disney to me, and that's the first thing that came to mind with that, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Did you have something to say, Wiz?
Yeah, it kind of because when Steve brought up Tim Roth, it just reminded me of the scene where he faces the Hulk and the Hulk just kicks him, and that is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen, is when he kicks him so hard he's tumbling and smacks into the tree. Oh man.
I mean, it was like literally like
Yeah,
squash, basically.
it was crazy. It was, to me, that scene was hilarious. But it went nowhere off subject. But him bringing up Tim Roth and the Abomination, that just reminds me of that scene.
Yep. Definitely, most definitely. I would totally agree with that. I mean, so we talked a little bit about that scene, and basically, you know, after that scene is kind of like when, you know, Peggy gets set, you know, starts talking to Steve again, and about finding out that Bucky has been kidnapped or has been taken by Hydra, and they decide they're going to go on a mission, which is this basically like the same mission that Steve and Bucky went on in the first Avenger, and so we get this kind of like introduction to, you know, that same kind of scenario going on, but a little different, because then we get the introduction to Hydra Stomper, as they like to call him, and our first Iron Man suit. Now, what were your thoughts when that Iron Man suit came popping up? Wiz talked a little bit about it earlier. So we'll start with you, Wiz. What else did you think about that scene when all of a sudden that suit popped up?
Oh no, I was excited. I'm like, he actually built. Howard Stark actually built an Iron Man suit, and it was cool. It kind of like reminded me of when Tony built his first suit when he was locked up in Iron Man. But yeah, the Hydra Stomper, it was exciting. It was definitely exciting to see the way how they use Steve in a different role.
Very true, very true. How about you, Sally? What did you think about when that first popped up, that Iron Man looking suit?
I was obsessed. The Hydra Stomper being Howard Stark's version of Iron Man is... Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark is my religion, and just putting that out there.
Okay. Awesome.
He's a gift. Howard Stark is a gift, and he has given us this gift.
Nice. Anything else?
Very big.
Very big. Okay.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
didn't make
Very
for the
big.
Hydra Stomper.
Very big.
I
Okay.
did
Well, see,
this for everything else.
I mean, when I saw it, all I could think of was the Ironmonger suit that Obadiah Stane created in Iron Man
Yeah.
1. That's
Oh, yeah,
exactly what I thought of when I saw that. And I'm like, I kept going, what is Obadiah Stane doing in this? Where is he? Why is Ironmonger in here? And that's like the first thing, and I'm like, how does Stark have the technology back in the 1940s to create a suit that Tony creates, in current day in the first Iron Man? And I'm thinking to myself, like, only in, Marvel Universe, but still at the same time, I'm just like, wow, that's pretty impressive that not Tony Stark, but Howard Stark created an Iron Man suit too, and I thought that was really cool. What did you think about this, Jeff? What did you think when that Iron Man suit all of a sudden popped up out of nowhere?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I mean, again, like, I'm not gonna. One thing I'm not gonna do with this episode of What If is I'm not gonna like force myself to like over talk or overextend any of this, these scenes or whatnot, because like honestly, there wasn't much to like going on this episode. Like it was a carbon copy of the first Avenger up until the end. You know what I mean? And then like at that, and some parts were different. But at that point, like as far as like the suit went, I understand why Howard Stark was able to build it, because he just took the Tesseract and stuck it right in the middle of the armor as like the power source for the armor. You know what I'm saying? And like that's the biggest difference, is that it Howard Stark could have created the Iron Man suit in like the actual Iron Man universe if he had wanted to, but like he would not have been able to power it and actually make it work functionally the way that Tony Stark was able to, just because from a technological standpoint, back in the 40s, there wasn't anything that he could use to power something like that. It would have had to have a cord attached to it in order to like power it, So that was what I found that was interesting, was just the fact that he actually stuck the whole Tesseract right in the heart of the armor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very true. Very true. And I think it's kind of interesting how, like, once we get past, that scene and stuff, and they go and they rescue Bucky and the other guys, and, they basically have the same kind of battle sequence like in First Avenger, like you were saying, carbon copy. And then they basically go on to take on the train because they think that whatever is the same scenario was in the first Avenger, where they were going after the train. Same exact thing, just this time, Peggy's in charge, and, the Ironmonger like suit, or, the Hydra Stomper, as we call it, goes in there, and then it gets blown up, and they think that Steve is dead. And so that kind of, to me, was like a reminiscence of like when Bucky falls in the first Avenger. So I was wondering, did you guys get that same feeling from that? Did you think that was kind of like their way of altering the Bucky situation with the Winter Soldier type of deal? And what were your thoughts on that? So let's start with you, Jeff. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's all it was. It was an exact carbon copy of like what happened in that scene in First Avenger. That's all it was. Except they changed some of the elements. At that point, my only thought was kind of like bouncing off of what Wize was talking about in the studio before the show. I was wondering, okay, like, are they now going to take Steve Rogers and like make him into like the Winter Soldier?
Yep. That's most
Hmm.
definitely. What did you think about that, Sally? Did you see that as like kind of like a Winter Soldier cop out, or
I
did you see that?
I screamed and had to pause it to collect myself because I was crying like openly, and I did not notice the Tesseract being the power to the Hydra Stomper. I just had to Google it off screen, and I'm ashamed.
Well, yeah, I mean that's how they were able to like create the portal at the end, is because they used the armor with the Tesseract in it.
I didn't notice that. Oh my god. I was kind of busy noticing the Peggy Carter with the shit. This is a spoiler. Peggy with the sword. That was what I was noticing.
Oh, we're already doing spoilers here. It's all good.
Good.
How about you, Wize? What were your thoughts?
Oh man, it was so much. It was I like the way that um they kind of made it different from when Steve got frozen in ice. How her story goes. I like how they made that completely different from Steve's version. So I'm like, I wish they had made it longer. I wish they had probably made it another. No, but let's not kid around. I wish it was a full length movie. It would have probably been real good.
Same.
Most
We just need a
definitely.
Peggy Carter movie. Get Haley Atwell on the phone and get her on this. I can write it.
Yeah, I mean, that was nice that at least the majority of the people from the first Avenger came back to do the voices of their characters. Like Haley Atwell did her character, Dominic Cooper came back. The guy that portrayed Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame also did the voice of Red Skull in this. So Ross McQuand, he at least came back to do the voice, which, it was very similar. Toby Jones redid his character from the first Avenger, and that we saw, and of course, the Winter Soldier film. But I mean, I was really surprised that Chris Evans didn't reprise his role as Steve. I was really shocked by that. I did think it was interesting that they brought in the character from the Carter Show that is kind of like the general guy versus instead of Tommy Lee Jones' character that was in the first Avenger. I thought it was interesting that he came in and was doing a voice for that character, which was in the Carter Show. I found that interesting. And but I was still happy that at least some of them came back to do the voices, for it to keep it kind of accurate into the MCU. But then, of course, after that scene and stuff, Peggy thinks that Steve's dead, and when they go to, find the Tesseract after it's been stolen again by Red Skull, we now go to the very end of the climax of this little episode, and they're at the giant castle where Red Skull has the Tesseract and he's messing with it, and to open that portal to release the. Basically, it looks like almost like a Kraken to me. They never. I think he gave it a name, but I can't remember what he said. But basically, it makes me think of a giant octopus, Kraken, whatever you want to call it. So we get there, and that's where they find Steve. And he's alive and everything, and we're happy about that. So, what were you guys' thoughts when we saw that Steve was still alive? Did you think he was dead? Did you think that he was captured? Did you think he was, like the Winter Soldier, like we were talking about earlier? But what was your thoughts as soon as you saw that Steve was still alive? Let's start with you, Sally.
I squeaked like a mouse. I was like, ah! and then I immediately was like, yes, yay! And then I have a note for the part after that where Peggy is fighting I believe he called it his champion, Hydra's champion, the Kraken thing. And I said, I cried over the plane crash scene for years. Somehow this is worse. That's the end of the episode.
Interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at it, most definitely. What about you, Jeff? What did you think when all of a sudden you saw that Steve was still alive?
Well, the beast that came through the portal is I forget the actual name. I'd have to pull it up, but that's actually the mythical beast from like the times of Asgard. Like that is actually the inspiration for the Hydra symbol. Like that's what that is. That is the mythical creature from the comics that actually embodies the actual like logo of Hydra. Like that's what that is. That's what Hydra is like based off of. And so it's not Shumagorath, which like I think some people think it is, but it's not. Well, we're not going to see Shumagorath until Doctor Strange 2. But yeah, like I wasn't surprised at all that Steve Rogers was alive. Like because, like I said, until I became like it became apparent that they weren't gonna do it. I thought they were gonna make him into the new Winter Soldier. So like I didn't, I think he would be alive. And then when I saw that like was and everything, I just thought, well, okay, like this makes sense. Like this fits the story because now he gets to jump back in the armor and like, you know, join up with Peggy and fight like, you know, evil by himself.
Very true, very true. I thought like when I saw him kind of like when the thing exploded, I was like, I don't think he's dead. I think he's gonna be caught or something like that. I wasn't thinking the Winter Soldier aspect at all. I didn't think that he was gonna be like, you know, experimented on and, you know, he lost his arm and stuff like that. I didn't think that was gonna happen. But definitely I thought that he was definitely gonna be captured and so forth. I definitely thought that. What were your thoughts, Wize?
It, it just made me like when I'm sitting and watching, I'm thinking, is the Winter Soldier gonna exist, or is this character gonna exist? Are they gonna go with the story? Like, what's gonna happen? It happens similar with her being stuck with the Kraken into that portal, and then spoiler alert, they open it up and you got Nick Fury and Hawkeye there.
Mm.
Yep, very true. So yeah, then after that happens and everything, you know, then the creature that comes through the portal, they start fighting it, and Howard Stark's trying to basically pull it back into the portal while Peggy is fighting it off, and she dons the sword, which Sally really loved, and as she talked about it before, and she starts kicking his butt with the sword, which I think is really hilarious and kind of fun and hilarious. And then, you know, we have this huge fight sequence, and then that's when Steve gets back into the Ironmonger. I'm just gonna call it Ironmonger because it makes me think Ironmonger. And he gets back in, of course, and like Jeff was saying, he comes in and he like starts fighting like a hero, and, you know, starts attacking it along with Peggy and so forth. And so, what were your guys' thoughts on that final fight sequence between them and that octopus creature? Did you guys like it? Did you think it went well? Do you think that it was a justifiable ending, or do you think that it was just kind of like you wish they did something different with it? Let's start with you, Wize.
I'm actually glad they made it different from Steve's ending. I'm glad they made it different from the first Avenger, where when he got frozen and all that. It kind of fit for her story. It was her story. What if what had happened? And so no, I was happy with it. Like I said, then when they reopen the portal and she pops out and she goes, "Where's Steve?" and they break it down to her saying she's been gone for 70 years. Like, what?
Very true, very true. Yeah. How about you, Sally? What did you think about that end sequence?
It being the opening, the ending of this episode being the opening for the Avengers is very iconic. Like, I love it. And I'm just imagining Coulson and like Clint just fangirling like, Fury, this is Captain Carter. And I'm just imagining
Don't mind me.
fangirling really hard.
I'm sure a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of female fans, I'm sure, were when this episode released and they knew it was the Captain Carter one, that they were all fangirling because, you know, we haven't seen, you know, besides Captain Marvel herself, you know, we really don't have very many huge like female powerful. I mean, you know, Scarlet Witch has kind of slowly progressed in becoming something big, you know, along with WandaVision and so forth. But like a big bad like macho superhero type of woman, we really haven't seen. So they kind of gave that to the fangirls, I feel, with this episode, giving Carter the opportunity to be in the Steve Rogers versus Steve Rogers becoming Steve Rogers, you know? So I think that was...
tattoo for Peggy Carter on my leg. I'm a fangirl.
Yeah, like, so I mean, I think that was a great way of doing that. Life. Yeah. Wow. What?
Sorry.
So
what
did you have to say, Jeff?
You know, again, not much really. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, this is probably gonna be a shorter show than we've been having lately, like doing Infinity Saga movie reviews, because this episode was only 30 minutes long, and there's just not really that much detail that went on that's worth really like you know, like having like, you know, long in-depth conversation about. But as far as like that scene goes, I loved it. I really thought it was an awesome, awesome twist, like an awesome, awesome angle that surprised like the shit out of me because it never even occurred to me at all that like when she pushed oh, and just to be clear, the monster is called the Lernian, and it's from the Asgardian past, and like like it was a villain like back during like the Hercules like times of like Asgard. So anyways, basically when Peggy Carter pushed Lernion outside of that portal, I just figured she was gone. Like that was it. That was the end of her or whatever. It never even occurred to me that like they would all of a sudden redo like the whole Avengers scene and everything and whatnot, and have her come through the portal and everything and whatnot. It made me think like, what has she been doing for the last 70 years, like in this like other dimension or whatever, or like other reality, like but or like other planet or whatever it was. But it just made me think about basically the fact that, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not saying it's going to happen tangibly, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably going to be a call from fans, especially from female MCU fans, to see a live action version of Captain Carter leading the Avengers in some way. You know what I mean? Because that's like where they're going with that. Like, she came through the portal becoming the first Avenger. You know what I mean? Like, so like, in that reality, if it had continued and extended, they would have rolled her into Shield, and she would have become the leader of the Avengers with Iron Man and Black Widow and and like the rest of the Avengers all would have been there just without Steve Rogers.
Yep, exactly. Most definitely.
Oh, and lastly, it was interesting wondering like, okay, so what did Steve do with like the whole like Hydra Smasher armor for all those years? Like, what was he doing?
True. Very true. Very true. So unfortunately, our wonderful friend Wize here is gonna bid us adieu. He has to get going. We want to thank you for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your wonderful knowledge with us. Look forward to working with you again in the future. And once again, his podcast is called Stuck on My Mind Podcast. If you get a chance, definitely go check it out. Is there anything you would like to say before you bid us adieu, Wize?
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate this. This is like one of the few times I get to be a fanboy, like where I really get to geek out. Because, like I said, my podcast is more geared towards self-help and self-development and all that. So when I get the opportunity to be a fanboy and be a geek and a nerd, I love to do it. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Jeff, as always, it's always a pleasure working with you, brother.
Why, my brother?
Yesterday we recorded my TV show. It was great having Jeff on to tell his story and talk about the MCU Bleeding Edge. But thank you guys for having me on, man. What's up?
Give us a quick lowdown on what me and Cyber are going to be getting into soon with the radio station.
Well, if it's on you guys. Well, if you want to go live, is what we talking about, the live experience or the pre-recorded experience?
Just all of it. Just so you know,
it's just something different. It's a platform I created for podcasters and people who want to get into the radio industry who just never haven't had the chance or just that haven't had the opportunity. Me putting out the radio station is giving back. It's to help people who don't have that platform or who don't know how to do a podcast or who don't know how to do a radio show. We're just giving them the opportunity to go out there and be creative.
Well, I talked to Cyber today, Wize, and told him about the whole live option they have like on the website and everything. And we're both very intrigued by like that whole ability or software or like, whatever it is. It sounds really interesting. And I promise you right now that once we talk and like you school me on how to like use the website and everything, and we can start dropping some episodes of the MCU's Bleeding Edge on there. I'm pretty sure that once you tell us when we can, Cyber and I will figure out a show to put together, or we'll go on live and let everybody know what's up, how the MCU's Bleeding Edge gets down live style.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Like I said, it's an opportunity for people to just be themselves and not worried about having being censored or having whatever your content is being taken off.
Oh, if it's like that, man, can we do some like Howard Stern type shit and just like bring in some women like and have them like show
It's
us
on
their
you.
breasts and stuff like that?
It's on you, but it's audio, so they won't be seeing no breasts.
Oh man.
Oh,
You
Jeffrey.
think about it, but
Oh, Jeffrey.
Well, that would definitely.
We are having a conversation later, young man.
That would definitely. That would definitely actually be like disappointing then, because like the last time I checked, you actually need to visually see breasts to like enjoy them.
yes.
I was not expecting that.
As my daughter's in the comment section.
Jeff, Wize needs to go now.
I know.
Let Wize go.
I appreciate
right,
you
Great
guys.
having you, Wize. Thank you for coming on by.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Sally.
You too?
Bye.
I'm so sorry.
Good night. Bye-bye. All right. So, once again, I want to thank Wize for coming on. Great to see him. Great to have fun. And now back to it, Mr. Jeffrey. Anyway, so we kind of discussed it fully. You know, we got the end. We all of a sudden have, Peggy Carter popping out, like you were saying, after pushing the guys in whatever the Leviathan was called. I always forgot already. Being pushed in, and then all of a sudden, 70 years later, just kind of like the same thing with Steve being stuck in the ice for 70 years. And she comes through the portal, which is like what happens with Loki in Avengers. She pops out and she's like, "Where's Steve?" And Nick Fury's kind of like, "Well, you've been gone for about 70 years." And then, Clint Barton's there, which was really great that at least Samuel Jackson and both Jeremy Renner both did the voices of the characters, which was really awesome. But that ending was like really like on point fun. I thought it was a great way to like change it up and, give it a different type of, look and take on, what would Peggy Carter do if she was stuck for 70 years somewhere. Like, instead of doing stuck in the ice, they have her stuck in basically like in a multiverse almost. And I think that's just really great that they decided to do it that way and gave us this different thing. What were your thoughts on that, Sally?
Well, for starters, iconic. And what was I about to say? Oh my god. Having Jeremy Renner and Samuel L. Jackson come back was great. I'm not gonna lie. Marvel movies either get me crying of laughter or sadness, but this had neither effect. What was I about to say? Holy shit. The entire what Jeff was saying about how fangirls would be happy with the movie. I can attest to that. I would be so happy with Peggy Carter leading the MCU. That would bring me so much serotonin. Like, get Haley Atwell and get her on this, please. I don't think either of you have the power to do that, but please. I would pay.
Yeah, very much so. Haley Atwell come back and do some other stuff. That would be great. Especially if she was able to do like a live action film. Even if they did a live action Agent Carter, kind of extending on the TV show that they did on ABC.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
That would be kind of really cool.
There was so much left unsaid when that show was canceled. So many unanswered questions.
Yeah, very much so. That's what I heard.
I want to know who killed Jack Thompson, damn it. Spoilers for Agent Carter.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so that'll be. I have no idea who that is. So, oh well. Now I know somebody's dead. Great. No, I'm just joking.
It's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, how about you, Jeff? Did you have anything else to say about the ending? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was a carbon copy, etc.,
Well,
etc.?
I already, look, I already kind of like gave my whole opinion on that whole scene already, but I thought it was great. It was a great twist, and just to put it out there, obviously we all know, I think that, and maybe, but maybe people who end up watching this video tomorrow or tonight or the next day or a week from now might not know that Marvel has already announced that this series is canon. So like these events that are transpiring in this show today, like in the series, they are actually connected directly to the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe. So at that point, I feel like there was already rumors for a while now, for years, that Marvel Studios wanted to do something with Haley Atwell again, like as Peggy Carter. That they you've heard him, Cyber, I'm sure, that they wanted to do something with her. They didn't know what, but they wanted to do something with her again because the character is so popular. It just it continues. Like, I mean, shit. We reviewed the first Avenger weeks ago. Cyber and I here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and that movie came out in 2010. So I mean,
11.
Oh, okay. And it's kind of crazy, but like, even taking into consideration the series they did, there's been a consistent appeal for specifically female MCU fans, but for a lot of male MCU fans too, that a desire for more Peggy Carter of some kind in the MCU. And I feel like, honestly, unfortunately, the way things played out, like in the MCU, in the Infinity Saga, in Endgame, the only way that they'd be able to do live action with Haley Atwell at this point is if they did either flashbacks type stuff, or if they did like an actual series based off of this reality.
Yes,
that
please. Oh my God.
And that just makes me want to just talk about and like put out there that what's happening right now because of this series, the impact of this series, this first episode, overall, cinematically, and like and television wise and MCU wise, is that Marvel Studios now can literally just like use this series as a petri dish to see how the fans react to each episode, and like how how popular these characters end up being from episode to episode. Now that we see them in their different versions, they can pick and choose based on that what they want to take from this series and these 9 episodes, and decide 2 years from now or whatever what live action Disney Plus show or live action film they want to do, where they pick one of these realities and roll with it. And it's really, really, really interesting and really, really, really fun that they have that option now. But at the same time, I just want to for Kevin Feige right now, because I know he's watching right now and listening. Kevin Feige is a serious supporter of the MCU's Bleeding Edge, in like in only in a delusional like sense. No, I'm just joking. No, Kevin Feige doesn't know who the fuck we are, but it's okay.
I was joking.
But no, but just in case Marvel Studios hears this, there's a limit to what you can do with the multiverse. There's a limit. You can only go so far. I know you know what I'm talking about, Cyber. It's cool. It's fun. Like, I want to see where it's going to go. But if you overdo it, if you overextend things and you get too crazy with it, or you get too complicated with it, I feel like it could go the wrong way.
Yeah, it could crumble.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and with anything, if you go too far off the deep end, it can crumble. It can cause, problems. And I'm sure with their 20-year plan, they have contingencies in place that won't allow that to happen, and they won't go too far out of the spectrum. What, Jeff?
But though that's the thing, though, yeah, it's just that's one of the awesome and interesting aspects of these Disney Plus series, like we talked about months ago, Cyber, with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when we did those reviews. Like these Disney Plus series give Marvel, for the first time since they've been doing the MCU, building the Infinity Saga, this gives them an opportunity to actually get immediate live action, lifetime reality feedback from fans and from viewers on what they like and what they want from these Disney Plus shows, who we want, what populars are characters, what characters we like and we want to see more. And at that point, and I'm sure they probably adjusted their plans before in the past, but now they actually have the ability to go into that 5-year, 6-year plan for the MCU and tweak it, and maybe take a Monica Rambeau and insert her into another Disney Plus series or something like that, just because of how popular she was during WandaVision.
Very true. Very true. Yep. Yep. I mean, I'm sure we'll see more Monica Rambeau. I mean, we definitely know she's going to be in the Marvels. We know that, she's definitely a big player in that. So I'm sure even after that, we're going to see a lot more of her anyways, because was so popular with WandaVision. But, I mean, still, you never know. It could die down, who knows? We just don't know. We have to just keep trekking on and seeing what ends up happening, and hopefully it's always in good favor. And so far, Marvel hasn't really had a huge dud yet, and thankfully it's still pretty progressive and still doing pretty well. Even with even these Disney Plus series, some of them we might not all agree were the greatest, but still they kept us enticed enough to want to keep watching. And I think that's what success is about for the Marvel's universe, and why they're so good at it. But yeah, I mean that's a great thing, most definitely. So do you? Let's go into another little topic here real quick. Let's talk a little bit about the whole lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Marvel Studios because of Black Widow being released on streaming. What is everyone's thoughts on this? Do you agree with Scarlett Johansson? Do you think that she's justifiable? Do you think that Marvel is kind of being dumb? Et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about that? So, what about you, Sally? What do you think about that whole lawsuit?
I think Scarlett Johansson is in the right here because they never told her, if I'm hearing this correctly, they never told her, hey, this is going to be on Disney Plus too. She was promised a theaters only release, and I went to see Black Widow in theaters, and there were only like 4 or 5 people in the whole theater, and it was the day after it premiered. So I think Scarlett Johansson has every right to be upset because box office views versus streaming views are going to be completely different. Completely, one side's going to be streaming views and box office views are going to be down here.
Most definitely. Most definitely. What about you, Jeff? What do you think about it?
I mean, I want to make sure, I just want to make it clear, just as an overarching kind of like outline of this situation, that the main theme, the main premise of this whole situation is basically that Black Widow was guaranteed what they call points. Scarlett Johansson was guaranteed points on the film, which is basically financial incentives tied into the box office total. And so at that point, my basic take is this: I'm not a big Disney fan to begin with. I'll be honest with you, and I'm certainly not siding with Disney on this at all, because I love ScarJo and what she's done in the MCU. I love ScarJo, But at the same time, I really, really, really feel like that Disney has a reason to and is going to litigate the shit out of this. Like they're not going to just give her money. It's not going to happen. Because look, this isn't just about Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson. This is a situation where whatever they do in this suit is going to set a precedent with every other actor and actress that Disney has under contract that's going to be affected by the pandemic, by these box office deals, these points deals, which are very common. So, but like as far as how I feel as a fan of Scarlett Johansson, of Black Widow, I feel like if anything, I feel like Scarlett Johansson and the Black Widow character in the Infinity Saga in the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't even get the due that she's deserved, because you're talking about the #1 female superhero, most popular female superhero in the history of film, in the history of this entire industry, of everything. Like, I mean, the literally the hero to every female MCU fan from age 5 to age like 75 for the last like 12 years has been Black Widow. So
Mine
like,
is Peggy Carter, but yeah.
So like, you know, at that point, I feel like on one hand, I feel like she was due a payday. Just like Iron Man got a payday, just like Chris Evans got a payday. All the other, basically, like almost all the other original 6 Avengers have gotten big paydays off their films. And this was Black Widow's first chance. This was ScarJo's first chance to really, really, really make some serious money off of a project that was featuring her. And at that point, you know, I do feel like realistically, I feel like Marvel Studios needs to like not just do the right thing, but take into consideration what Scarlett Johansson has given us for a decade, and and reward her appropriately by giving her a settlement that pays her at least maybe 75% of what she would have made off of the film. Like that'll be fair, because like, look, ScarJo's getting older, as we all saw in the Black Widow film. She's aging. Like, she's still extremely attractive. She's beautiful, but she's getting older.
She's gorgeous.
And she's married and she has children. And this money was money where this was her last chance to make money off of the MCU, off of Marvel. And so I know for a fact she was relying on this payday for whatever, whatever investments, whatever potential like opportunities with directing or producing or other films. She was relying on this money. And so at that point, I feel like, she should be paid. And I feel like at the same time, I'd love to see some of the original 6 Avengers come out publicly and support her.
Yep, very much so, very much so. I noticed here over in the comments a Grimdark Utopia. I'm assuming that's your daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was mentioning here, don't actors take a percentage of what their movies sell for in the box office? So releasing her movie on a streaming platform and discouraging patrons from going to a theater to watch it kind of hinders her from profiting off of her work. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty accurate. I mean, that's very good. That's very knowledgeable.
Exactly what's happening.
Hey, what do you expect from my own fucking daughter?
I don't know.
Come on now. She's a chip off the old block, so you got to watch out when it comes to my daughter, because she don't play.
Well, that's good. That's great. I mean, she's very accurate. She's very accurate. Very well done. Very well done. A great comment. Thank you for commenting. So to go on to now that we talked a little bit about that, let's move on. Let's do some of those IMBD reviews and the Rotten Tomato reviews that you had ready for us, Mr. Jeff.
Awesome. Okay. And we'll let Sally react to this one. Sally, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read some reviews from IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and we just want to know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, like, you know, what your thoughts are.
Cool.
So the first one is from Melody McCune, Geek Girl Authority. While my curiosity is piqued, I wasn't completely blown away by this outing. What do you think? Is that fair?
Honestly, kind of, because it's not a full-length movie. No, I was blown away, but it not being a full-length movie, it's not going to be as mind-blowing as the first Avenger was. So obviously, not everybody's going to be, whoa, this blew my mind, this is crazy, this is amazing, holy shit, like I was.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, and Cyber, as far as my take on it goes, I'll be honest with you, I don't typically like to do this, but I agree with the review. I do. I feel like I mean, that's not the most negative review out of the ones I've read, believe me. Like, that's actually pretty soft compared to some of the other ones I've read. So I mean, honestly, as far as reviews go, I think that was very much like on point. Like, you know, like, I mean, as a fan and like, you know, and as like a veteran MCU fan, like, you know, and watcher, I feel like people should have expected and realized that, of course, like the impact of these episodes being animated, being what if, we're not going to be like Loki, you know, like, or WandaVision, you know, like it wasn't going to be the same thing. And at that point, I feel like really, again, to connect this to the comic books again, I feel like really when it boils down to it, this series is really fan service for especially old school Marvel comic book fans that love the What If comic book. You know, like they're going to love this. This is going to be awesome for them. And for those people out there who love animated, like anything animated, like anything anime or animated, they're going to love this. You know,
Yeah.
Cyber, I know that, like, I know you personally didn't care for the animation. You know, like I thought it was okay. You know, I get it that they're trying to do something different with it than like DC, for instance. They're trying to be unique. But I feel like as far as the review goes, I agree with it. I do. I agree with it about 85% or 80%. I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I didn't think this episode blew me away either. I wasn't blown away. I thought it was mediocre because it basically, like we were talking about earlier, was carbon copy of the first Avenger, just with Peggy Carter and a few, you know, alternate differences. But I mean, it wasn't bad in any sort of way. It just wasn't like anything like whoa, like because it wasn't a full length movie, like you were saying before too. You know, it's you know, they could have added more to it if they had made it even longer. Even if they made it an hour long, like an extra half hour, I think they could have put in some more stuff to make it even more flow better and so forth.
Me too.
So,
But Cyber, let me ask you, being the actual experienced you know, film person, you know, TV person, you know, from a production standpoint on the show, is it possible that when it comes to like the actual creation and production of animation, like, is it possible that it's just like maybe so expensive, or like the cost or whatever, like maybe hinders them to where like they have to keep it short?
I mean, that is possible. I mean, yeah, the animation is very expensive these days, especially if they're using a lot of CGI. And you could tell with this animation that it's a CGI animation
Yes.
that they overlay with actual drawings. And I mean, it's very much, you know, very similar to like a almost like a comic book look that they're trying to give it.
Yes.
And so, there's a lot of expense in that. And I mean, it can take several months to create a small segment, just like what this is. So yeah, that's a very big possibility of why they're so short. But at the same time, if you're Marvel Studios and you have the money to blow on that, I don't see why they wouldn't make it even 45 minutes, to an hour, because they could technically, with the time frame that they're using on these episodes, they've had several months that they've been already making these. They could have already produced something a lot longer that still they could do. Yeah.
I was just wondering also, hey, you never know. It's possible that maybe Marvel Studios watched these episodes after they were made, or like, as they were making them, maybe they saw what they were getting while they were being designed and put together. And maybe they decided that if it had been longer, it wouldn't have been as good, or it wouldn't have been as effective in telling a story,
Possibly, yep. That's
Animation takes a long time.
Yeah.
There was clearly a lot of love put into it.
Yeah, most definitely.
I've got the next one, Cyber.
All right.
Yeah, and you take this one, man. First off, perhaps Marvel's What If will be more accessible to non-discerning younger viewers, but for adults, there's not much here to recommend. This is from Drew Deitch, giant freaking robot, who rated the episode a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. His hands, man.
I mean, I get where he's coming from. I get, why he's saying that, about the adults and stuff like that, and then it more, because it's more like a cartoon. It's more shorter, like a cartoon series is. But I mean, look at the success of other cartoons that are around that are more adultish, which this is definitely more adultish. It wasn't like kiddie kid. Because it still had a lot of suggestive material, and it still was pretty action packed. So I mean, that I can see a little bit why he would say that, but at the same time, I don't completely agree with that, because like I said, there's like Rick and Morty, there's House Broken that's on, you got The Simpsons, you got Bob's Burgers. I mean, all these, Naruto.
No.
You have plenty of half-hour cartoon series that are very adultish that both kids and adults like. So, I don't agree with that completely, but I get where he's coming from. How about you, Sally?
Yeah, Sally, what's your thoughts?
I don't talk to any of my cousins, so if any of them are listening, hi family I don't talk to. I had cousins who watched like Family Guy at age 8 or 9 or 10, and that was weird to me. But if my cousins were still 8 or 9 or 10, and we still talked and hung out, I would watch this with them. And I have like neighbors on the left who are 8 and 6 or 9 and 6, something like that. I would watch this with them. I would I don't babysit them, but I would watch it with them. I would recommend it to their parents. So kids would love this, but I love it too. As a Marvel fan since I was 12, I love it, and I might just be biased towards Agent Carter here because she's really the character that I fell in love with at age 12. But I really enjoyed it, and I don't see how adults won't like it.
Yeah.
Which is what this guy seems to be implying.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, all I can really say about it is just that I don't think the 2 out of 5 rating is accurate. I would give it a better rating than that. I don't like to do 1 out of 5 ratings personally. I don't like those. Look, I've got to watch the episode again, but if I had to give it a rating, right now off the top of my head, on a 1 through 10 scale, episode 1, I would give it a solid 7.25, maybe 7.5. That's where I would go. And as far as the whole, comment of, this not being anything adults are going to be into or whatever. Look, I guess it just depends on if you're an MCU fan or not. Because if you're an MCU fan, it doesn't matter if you're 13, 32, 57, or 80 or whatever. You're not going to care whether it's animated or not. You're going to watch it and you're going to like it.
Damn right.
Yep, very true, very true, very true. Much indeed. From my understanding, Mr. Jeff, you have a trailer you would like to share, sir.
I do.
And it happens to be the Defenders TV series from Netflix,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
It is one of our most interesting, possibly can be like, you never know how long it's going to be segments on our show where we actually watch trailers and then react to them of shows and movies that we have not watched yet. And in this situation, Cyber and I, I'm not going to include Sally because Sally's only, 21, so she doesn't deserve to be guilt tripped for this. But Cyber and I have not watched this yet, even though it's 3 years old.
I've been watching Marvel since I was 12. That's not fair. Guilt trip me.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
I'm not sure you'd believe me even if I told you.
But bad shit's happening. Bad people are going to take down the city.
People are going to get hurt.
And this has to stop.
You want to feel safe. I have an idea. Why don't you put on a cape and go run around New York?
At the end of the second season of Daredevil, Matt is kind of lost. He's given up being this superhero.
Matthew, this other life you led, is your heart still with it?
But deep down, he genuinely believes the city is better off with him.
You have interrupted a citywide investigation.
Jessica's never wanted to be involved. She doesn't want to save the city. She doesn't care.
Jessica Jones.
Who the hell are you?
My name is Matthew Murdock. I'm your attorney.
Cage is out of prison, and he's just trying to figure out what's he gonna do with his life.
Right now, I just want to help people. I think there's someone that you need to meet.
Everything leads them back to New York.
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
You what?
Now, the very existence of New York is at stake.
The four of us saw a path to the same place.
Midland Circle.
Murdoch.
We need to leave now.
You look like an asshole.
Your scars. Who are you people?
There's an ancient criminal organization whose goal is ultimate power.
I can't be a part of this.
If you ask me, you already are.
These people are incredibly dangerous. They're incredibly evil.
It's clear to them that the only chance they have of saving New York is going to be if they work together.
You four, the devil of Hell's Kitchen, the smart-ass detective, the righteous ex-con, and the kid with a glowing fist.
Seeing all four of these characters together is epic.
Us four coming together will be thrilling for fans of all the shows.
It looks awesome. It feels awesome.
We could easily turn our backs and just try and take care of ourselves, but it's not about us. That's what being a hero is.
There are people who run from the fire, and there are people who run into it.
It's just a city. You'll get used to watching them fall.
Nice ears.
They're horns.
The thing about war is, it only works if both sides believe they're the good guys. The truth is, we're not so different. We fight to get back what was once ours. But in the end, and this is the end, it's just a city. You'll get used to watching them fall.
I think we're safe for now. We need to figure out our next move. No, there is no next move.
And there is no we.
What is that? We're not here to eat. Are those pork?
No, the shrimp. Oh, this guy's got pork.
God, you're weird.
I'm not looking for super friends.
Shit.
That doesn't matter. Can't fight these people. Not even with whatever it is your hand can do. It's cheap.
It's not.
They're hunting our friends, our families, and they're not gonna stop there.
More death is coming. And the only thing keeping Manhattan from crumbling to a pile of dust is the four of you.
The war for New York, it's over.
Not yet.
Nice ears.
They're horns.
I can see you've formed a kind of bond. I promise you it's temporary.
Electra,
They will disappoint you.
Jessica.
like it or not, we belong out there together.
I'm glad we found each other.
I'm not hugging you.
It's been a long week.
Well. That was exciting trailers, wasn't it, peoples?
Yeah.
I had no idea that Sigourney Weaver was in the Defenders series.
I didn't either, Cyber. I was surprised as shit.
I was literally, that's why I was kind of like, during it, I was like, oh? Like, what? Like, I had no idea Sigourney Weaver was in that. That's insane. I mean, with already a great cast as it is, I mean, you know, between the gal that plays Jessica Jones, you know,
Kristen Ritter, yeah, she's great.
yeah, Kristen Ritter, Mike Coulter, you know, all the characters, they are all really great. And, like, the only series I've actually completely watched has been, well, not completely watched, but, like, Jessica Jones is the only one I've actually watched, like, a full season and almost the whole second season. And, you know, of course, I've done the one season of Daredevil so far. I haven't watched any Defenders. I haven't watched any of Iron Fist or Punisher or any of those. So, I mean, those two trailers looked really, like, made it look really fun. The music was really great. The presentation looked really awesome. And definitely something I'm looking forward to watching eventually.
Now I know, Cyber, why I've been told that you're supposed to watch the Defenders after Daredevil season 2, because you can tell from the trailers that that's where they're at with Daredevil, the Daredevil series. You know what I mean? Because you got Elektra in there. You know what I mean? Like, did you see the old Japanese lady from the Yakuza or whatever is in there too?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and also you see like Foggy and what's her name from Daredevil are in there too.
Yeah, Deborah Ann Wool, Rosario Dawson. They showed what's his name, Scott Glenn too, the blind guy that taught Matt Murdock everything he knows in that trailer too.
Yeah,
so I thought that was really interesting that he returns too.
Yeah, he's kind of like the like from what I understand, like from like what I've seen in the just in like the YouTube videos I've seen of the fight scenes and stuff like that. He's kind of like the mentor slash like you know kind of like partial leader of the whole gang. You know what I mean?
Yep. I think you're correct, because I mean, even in the first season of Daredevil, he kind of is. You can see he's Matt's instructor, basically his mentor in those few episodes, and kind of like, and then they leave it at just that one episode, but we don't get to see him again. But I was wondering if he was going to return, and that shows that he does. So I was like really shocked, because I thought he was fun. I thought he was an interesting character in the episode he was in.
Scott Glenn is great.
Oh yeah, I always enjoy him. What about you, Sally? What did you think about the 2 trailers?
Well, now I need to watch another show. I have another show on my list.
Haha.
Like,
Did
great.
it
I have way
spark?
too many to watch.
Because which of the shows have you already watched?
I've seen the first
Netflix?
2 episodes of Daredevil, and that's about it.
Well, you got
I'm
to
like,
keep
I haven't
watching.
watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was saying earlier, I think, since I was like 12, and that was when season 1 was happening.
How did you know about Jessica Jones?
I tried to watch that show with my mom, and she hated it, so we had to turn it off. It was, I saw like the first 15 minutes, maybe, of episode 1 of Jessica Jones, and then I haven't watched it since. Because I like David Tennant a lot, and he plays the villain, right?
Yeah, he's really good in it. I enjoyed him.
So
I
do
love
you
him as
like, are you excited about seeing the Defenders now?
Yes. You guys?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I can't wait to watch it now. I mean, like I said, I have to, though, I have to get, I have to, I mean, I have to finish the 2nd season of Daredevil first before I can watch it, but, you know, once that's done, then I can watch that, and, you know, the other series I gotta finish watching too, but, I mean, I think these Netflix shows were really done well. I mean, some of the criticism they had for Iron Fist I've heard, and the Defenders, I was really shocked by, because even watching the trailers for either of those, they look like a really good series. And I've also seen, you know, positive reviews on both of those series, so it'll be interesting to see those 2, you know, and then also watching Punisher too, you know.
Cyber, I'll tell you, I'm kind of actually wondering if, you know, I had kind of just assumed from like hearing other people talk about it that Iron Fist was going to be terrible, you know, but like, I'll be honest with you, I have a feeling that I'm actually really going to like Iron Fist and that I'm going to think it's good, you know, like I have a feeling. And it seems to me that like, it looks like to me that, on top of finishing Daredevil season 2, I think you've got to watch Iron Fist the first season, like to really get chronologically in order to watch the Defenders.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I mean, you kind of do. Like
that makes sense.
Yeah, you kind of got to. I mean, unless you just want to go in like kind of just having a basic premise of who the characters are, I think you basically technically have to watch Luke Cage season 1 and Jessica Jones season 1, you know, going into the Defenders.
Yeah.
That would probably make sense, because, you know, I don't think they probably introduce the characters in Defenders. They're just already heroes.
No, they're all established.
Yeah, see, so yeah, that would make sense that you'd have to watch Iron Fist too, in order to go into Defenders and be able to be like up to par and where the storyline is.
Well, yeah, because just like Daredevil, it looks like there's people and characters and actors and actresses from the different series that are going to pop up during the Defenders.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know. I'm curious as to where Sigourney Weaver, if she's specifically just Defenders, but it'll be interesting to see if, you know, she actually pops up in one of the other series before watching the Defenders. That'll be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, I couldn't really tell. I couldn't tell from the trailers. That's one thing I will say. Being a, as Cyber knows, being a trailer watching son of a bitch over here, as I am, I love watching trailers. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Like one thing I can honestly say, one criticism I would make about the Defenders trailers is you can't tell what the premise is of like the show. You can't tell. You really can't tell like what the story is. Like all you know, all you can tell is that Sigourney Weaver is the bad guy, is the villain. Other than that, you have no idea like what else is going on or like what they're, you know, what she's doing, like what she's going to do to New York City or whatever. But I really like the whole like concept that like you know, if you want to pretend that these shows were canon to the MCU, even though they're not, although they may be eventually, at least Daredevil may be. You know, if you want to pretend that like these shows were canon, it makes sense that they would come together to save New York City on like a street level, because this would be something that would be like below the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Way below level 7, yeah.
No, but you understand what I'm saying, Sally? Like, at the point that the Avengers are around, this is like right after the Battle of New York, like
Yeah.
Ultron. So like the Avengers are too busy with like Hydra and like big like enemies and terrorists and stuff to
Yeah,
like
they are.
like to like deal with like New York City crime lords and stuff like that.
Yeah, they definitely are, and I also don't see the Avengers dealing with New York City crime lords like ever. They wouldn't get involved in gang shit.
Yeah.
That would be
No
more
offense
like,
to any New Yorkers that maybe
no,
listen.
no. That would be more like Spider-Man or the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, you don't see these characters doing, going that high of a level because, they're more of like neighborhood, like Spider-Man is, neighborhood, even though Spider-Man goes, but
friendly
yeah.
neighborhood so and so.
Yeah.
Cyber,
Yes, Jeff.
What did you think at all, or did it occur to you that maybe like the Punisher might be on the Defenders and before you knew?
I honestly want to say no, because the Punisher really is kind of a solo artist. He tends to do things solo. He doesn't really work well with teams. So I mean, even the fact that he's a part of Daredevil season 2, I'm really shocked by that, because I feel like in some extent he's probably through that season. He's probably going to be just kind of like showing up and helping out here and there. But at the same time, I don't see him being a part of like a group. But I'm not sure. I from what I've seen, since the Defenders came out, I've always only saw the 4 characters being the Defenders. So I don't know how it is in the actual comic books, but he could be.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Just for 1 second, I did kind of like maybe imagine or think that maybe they would throw the Punisher into the Defenders just because of the fact that his Netflix series came out before the Defenders came out. So I thought maybe they might just like, I didn't think they'd put him on the team. I thought maybe he would just end up kind of like guesting, like as a guest appearance, with the Defenders. You know what I mean? But honestly, Cyber, you're right. I mean, he is like kind of a solo guy. And honestly, it wouldn't have worked out too well. Well, I mean, I don't know. Jessica Jones is somebody who I think is not afraid to kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like, she's not, I don't think. Like, if she thinks somebody deserves to die, I think she would kill somebody. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't watch Jessica Jones the first season, so I don't know if she ever killed anybody in the show. But as far as Luke Cage goes, and Iron Fist, and of course Daredevil, we know for a fact, they don't believe in murder. They don't believe in killing people. So like Punisher would have been kind of a bad fit for that whole reality. But as an aside from the Defenders, I really love the fact that you're in season 2 of Daredevil, Cyber, and Punisher's in it. And just like I did in the comic book, reading the comics back in the day, when I was a kid, I always loved when Daredevil and the Punisher would team up, because they teamed up a lot, just because they both work out of New York City. So they would bump into each other. And it's really interesting, seeing, Daredevil with Frank Castle and their different mindsets, and how Cyber, kind of like how the Kingpin and the Daredevil have that dichotomy, that flip side. Punisher and Frank Castle kind of have that same type of relationship with Daredevil, Matt Murdock, because honestly, Matt Murdock Daredevil is like a step away sometimes from just killing somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can tell he wants to.
Yep, most definitely. I mean, I would agree with that. And also, to go back to, about Punisher and the Defenders, maybe he does make a cameo or appearance in the series. We don't know. They just might have not shown it in the trailer. So
Yeah.
I don't know. He possibly could still pop up in Defenders down, in one of the episodes, and possibly could be, So I mean, it would be kind of dumb for them to have brought the Punisher out, brought him in Daredevil 2, season 2, and kind of not have him be any part of the Defenders at all. So I think that would be dumb. So I think he ended up in it somehow. We just don't know what episode or whatever. And they just kept him out of the trailer because they wanted it to be like a surprise. Because sometimes that just what makes, some, characters, they pop more is when they keep it a secret.
Yes. And there is, of course, the reality, too, that whether they want to admit it or not, and whether they want to talk about it or not, I have to believe that Kevin Feige always had a plan of some kind to bring what's the actor's name that plays Frank Castle in the Netflix series?
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. I feel like I don't know what Kevin Feige was thinking, but I feel like even back then there was a plan of some kind to bring him into the MCU. And I think it's possible that they did not want to put him in Defenders because they did not want to overexpose the character.
Yep. I would agree. I would agree. Very much so.
I'd like to ask Sally, did you say that you watched some of Daredevil?
Like 2 episodes, yeah.
That's all? Oh,
That's
man.
really all.
Well, I'll tell you what. You've got to sit down and watch the rest of Daredevil because Cyber will tell you it's like a literal masterpiece of a show.
I gotta watch it. I like how he's blind and he still fights. Like repping people with disabilities. I love that.
That first season's insane. I mean, was like, it kept you in your seat wanting to watch more, and just the craziness of the Kingpin, and just like how it took the story and how it transformed Matt Murdock into basically being Daredevil. It does a really good job with bringing that to life. And
I just want to see a character with like more disabilities. Like I have high functioning autism, and I would I fangirl really hard over the MCU. So like a character with autism who would like do autistic things like stimming and like hyperfixating while also being a hero would be very cool to see.
Yeah, like and just cool if we had maybe we could have an alternate version of Spider-Man that's in a wheelchair, swinging around in a wheelchair. Then he smacks into a building and gets fucking killed.
Why? Why would he die?
Because he's in a wheelchair.
Okay, no.
He can't navigate properly.
I mean, he can navigate, but
wheelchairs are heavy. I mean, like that'll throw off like your trajectory when you're web swinging.
I know they're heavy, I know, but why would you want Spider-Man to die? That's so mean. I'm talking about like mental disabilities and like some physical disabilities. But
we're gonna get Moon Knight, Sally. Moon Knight has major mental issues.
Moon Knight. I gotta see that. I gotta Google it.
Oh, you don't know about Moon Knight? Oh yeah, Moon Knight's coming out in a couple months. Oh, not a couple months, but yeah, Moon Knight has I can't remember the actual clinical name for it, but Moon Knight, Mark Spector has a condition where he cannot remember who his actual identity is because he has not multiple personality, but he pretends to be different people, different characters in order to in order to get information on the mob and on crime and stuff like that and everything. He has different characters he plays, and at some point he actually gets confused as to who he is.
Yep. I read a little bit about Moon Knight, and yeah, I do believe they say he's schizophrenic.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, he also the reason he's called Moon Knight and what makes him Moon Knight is the fact that I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but an Egyptian god like saved his life at one point and then lives in him like for after the rest of his life. So not only is he pretending to be different people, he has like a Egyptian god in his mind talking to him all the time.
Yep.
Wow.
Very
That's
true.
cool. Sounds cool.
Yeah, hopefully they'll stick pretty true to the comics, hopefully, and it'll be a good show, I feel. Oscar Isaacs rocks, so it'll be fun. I think he'll do a good job, I think. All right, so that was a wonderful discussion, folks, out there in live stream land. I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. I'd like to thank you, Sally, for coming on for the first time. We really appreciated you and enjoyed having you on. You did a great job.
First time doing a podcast with anybody. It was so cool.
You did such a great job. Did a great job. We hope to have you on again. And once again, hopefully we'll get to see more content from your podcast, which is the See You in the MCU podcast. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go check out her one video she says she has put up, which is, still fantastic. One video is still better than none, I think.
Not a video. I'm working on that. It's just my voice.
Oh, her voice. Sorry, guys. Just her voice. So, yeah, definitely just the podcast voice. Go listen to it then. Let's listen to it. Not watch it, but we'll listen to it. But, yeah, that's great. Thank you for coming on. It was really a pleasure. It was fun having Wize on. He was very enjoyable. Like we said earlier, it was a joy to have him on again. And
don't forget about Isabella.
And thank you, Isabella, for coming into the comments and giving us some great information there. We enjoy all your comments. Thank you for telling us about the schizophrenia and that awesome Punisher comment.
She's so good. She actually she knows shit I don't know. She knew that Khonshu was the Moon Knight god, the Egyptian god for Moon Knight.
Yeah, that's great. It's awesome.
Isn't that fun when your kids actually know more than you do?
Usually they do. Because they learn what you know, and then they add on to that. So
but when it comes to the MCU, like being the comic book MCU guy I am, it's kind of embarrassing when like your 17-year-old daughter, like knows more about characters than you do.
That happens. Get over it. It happens. So thank you, Isabella, for commenting and being a part of our show tonight. I want to thank Vincent, too, for coming on and giving us a couple comments, too, as well. Of course, I want to thank my co-host and crime duo friend there, Jeff Sloboda there. Of course, you can find him, on YouTube as well, on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. You can also find us on our website, the MCU'BleedingEdge.org. You can also check out Naruto because he keeps showing his shirt about Naruto.
Baby.
He's in love with Naruto, people. And, of course, you can always, have fun with anything that Mr. Sloboda does. He has several other interesting platforms that he's on besides, YouTube, of course. You got Rizzle, you got TikTok, you got, all kinds of stuff, and he's such a pleasure to work with. I enjoy him very much. He's my cohort, my awesome friend, He's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
And he's just great, And then of course
I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it that much, but Cyber is starting to become a quasi parent for me in a way because he literally, and it's not an age thing at all. It's just literally the fact that Cyber and I are such good friends now at this point, and he is so intuitive, and I'm so obvious that like he just basically he's very aware, let's just say, of like my faults and like my like the things I'm good at and not good at and stuff like that and whatnot. And so like kind of interesting because sometimes I don't even have to say anything about it or even like talk about it or describe it. Cyber just knows that like I fucked something up or whatever, or like I procrastinated too much on something or whatever.
Premonitions. Anyways, though, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our live stream. And if you want to check out my other content, of course, the Cyberneticshark, you can find me on TikTok, Rizzle as well. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, all those great places. But you can check out my solo content on YouTube as well, where I do movie reviews, parodies, all kinds of cool stuff like that too as well. So definitely check that out. But please, people, definitely check out our website, the MCU'sBleeding.org. And it's a really great site. We put a lot of work into it, and you get to see what all cool, upcoming things we're going to be doing. Some cool little tidbits and stuff like that on certain recent MCU content. So yeah, definitely check it out, people. It's really worth the view and watch, and definitely a good read. So definitely check that out, people. So we want to thank everyone for watching. You guys have a great evening. And does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say before we leave these fine people?
Read my fanfic at Agent Lady America. Sorry, Jeff.
No, it's okay.
No, that's fine.
And AO3.
I just want to take a second to thank Sally very much for coming on and everything and whatnot. And this being her first time, I really want to just welcome her to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. I'm positive for a fact that we're going to have Sally back, and she'll be on here on the panel, and she's a very positive, smiling face to have on here with us, So and I just want to also take the time to thank very much, genuinely and personally, Cyberneticshark, my friend, for being my friend. First of all, because I'm not exactly the easiest person to be friends with sometimes, and for being somebody that I can rely on, because I'll tell you right now, everybody, especially you kids out there, these days, the way things are going in this country, you can't always rely on people, these days. So it's nice to know with Cyber that I always know exactly what to expect, from him and what I'm going to get from him as a friend, as a co-host, across the board. He may not be splashy, he may not be flashy, but he is consistent and he knows what he's talking about.
Okay.
Also, I will admit it, Cyber also is extremely more experienced and knowledgeable when it comes to actual film fare and reviewing films and reviewing cinematography. He really has the experience and the knowledge that I don't necessarily have yet, or I'm working on getting to really critique films, that are kind of maybe in a different category than the Avengers, like a drama, for instance, or something more serious. So we're very lucky to have you, Cyber, and I really appreciate your friendship.
I appreciate your friendship, sir. So thank you guys once again.
Sorry, I appreciate being able to fangirl about the MCU for 2 hours. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. So that was a great...
Oh, Cyber, I just want to say I really appreciate the guy on Rizzle who I said could not fucking sing at all or whatever the other day. I just want to put it out there for all you white knights out there that have been trying to get after me on Rizzle. I'm not sorry.
He's not sorry, people. So once again, thank you for watching our live stream. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next Wednesday for episode 2 of What If. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.